Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to our daily practice series. This video will be on Clary Sage and how to work with Clary Sage in your daily self-reflection, journaling, taking some time out for yourself, however you want to frame this time. These daily practice series I will be doing for the next few days, exploring 5 different essential oils that were voted on by you. And I have to say, you all, that the oils, I could not have chosen better oils to explore this week than the oils that you all chose. So I just have so much, I want to begin with so much gratitude for the gifts that you've essentially brought me in preparing these videos for you, these lessons in using oils in self-reflective practices that, we can do every day. I'm not necessarily saying that you have to do these every day, but it is so helpful for our overall well-being to take some time out for ourselves, and our friends aromatics really help us to carve out that little bit of time that we need, and it doesn't even have to be too much time. So let me talk a little bit about Clary Sage. This was the #1 top picked oil by all of you, and it was super cool for me because I went back to the Inner Sanctum membership. The Inner Sanctum library. That's where we've archived everything from the membership, and checked out the Clary Sage deep dive. I hadn't remembered until I started looking in the Inner Sanctum library that it turns out Clary Sage was the last oil we did in the membership before we had to take the great pause following the sudden passing of my father, which has been a huge part of my healing journey the past year plus. What was super cool for me, not only am I kind of returning back to where we left things off in June of 2020, and even then I was like, man, you all, this is such a great oil for what's going on right now, because Clary Sage is, I would sum it up as saying it's an oil of insight. It's definitely associated a lot with clarity. And just to throw in here, the Latin name for this oil is Salvia sclaria. It is part of the sage family, although aromatically is very different than our common sage. Definitely a lot brighter, I would say. Touch of floral, almost citrusy notes in there, although the herbaceous quality is certainly most prevalent. But the Latin name sclaria comes from the word claris, which means clear. And traditionally the herb, not the oil, I'm not saying do this with the oil, but the herb has been used traditionally for clearing mucus from the eyes, helping us to see better. And I do feel like this oil on the energetic, emotional, non-physical level really does help us clear the way of stagnant energy. So it's a perfect oil to start the week off with. It's one I've been working with for the past several days. But what was amazing to me, what blew my mind, was watching lesson 3 in the deep dive for Clary Sage. One of the things that Clary Sage helps us to do is it helps us to bring back our spark that we've lost in times of grief. And man, is that not the most perfect thing for me right now. So one of the things I love about the practice of aromatherapy is it is always bringing me back to my journey and my path and my own healing process. And those of you that are our students know that in our programs, we really emphasize the continuous returning back to your own healing journey. And in fact, it's worked into all of our programs at this point, from the healing with aromatherapy course that's in the library up through our 300+ hour practitioner course. They all are anchored in these practices of using oils for our own self-healing. And that's what I want to do with you today in this daily practice with Clary Sage. Therapeutically, it also is really wonderful, moving back to some physical things, really wonderful as various reproductive conditions, particularly, like I've used it a lot for both the emotional mood swings associated with PMS, as well as severe menstrual cramps. And I think that it definitely, at least from my understanding of a Chinese medicine perspective on menstrual cramps, there is a stagnation of energy. That's part of why we have the cramps. What Clary Sage helps us do is clear out that stagnant energy. Interestingly, it's also been used in the final stages of labor to help accelerate that get that energy needed to push that baby out. And I do feel like it works on a similar level in our creative lives and for our creative projects. It also is associated as an aphrodisiac, which, you know, if there's stuff in between two people in a relationship in particular, it can kind of help clear, maybe even clear the air between two individuals and allow a free flowing of energy. We'll see in our next daily practice tomorrow. Patchouli does this similar action, but in a very different way. So that'll be cool to explore tomorrow. Another thing that I want to connect for us before we move into a daily practice or a practice with Clary Sage is that it helps balance out, if we're going to think of our body in this understanding of chakras or energy centers. You know, you've got your second chakra, which is near your reproductive organs, underneath the belly button, part of partnership and connection, but also creative energy. And it correlates to, if we think of a 7 chakra system with the heart being in the middle, it correlates to the 6th chakra, which is our third eye, our connection to the divine, our spirit, but also having the clarity of vision. And I think that Clary Sage helps us work with both of these levels because they both correlate with one another. When your mind is not clear, or let me rephrase, when your mind is clear, which is what Clary Sage helps us to do, it is easier to then see what is the next step to bring whatever the creative project is that you want to bring into life. We need clarity to create what we want in the world, and Clary Sage is a wonderful oil for helping us become that vessel. So if you've got Clary Sage, you know, please join me. I've got a little bit on a scent strip here. You can always take off the cap. Most of the times you can smell the cap. We're going to work with it aromatically, so we just want to be able to smell Clary Sage. If you've got some diluted and you want to anoint yourself with it, or be like me, put it in your bun, which I do sometimes. Sometimes smelling directly out of the bottle is a little too much, though you certainly can do that. Sometimes I'll whiff with the cap under my nose. Here I've got a scent strip. You can use a tissue. The other day I was using a little bit of a paper towel, whatever, to just allow yourself a moment here to smell some Clary Sage. And begin to take some deep breaths and feel your breath moving through your body. Moving in and moving out, and just allowing your energy to start to settle down. And allow the smell of the Clary Sage to just move in and out of you. As the thoughts come up in your mind, just let them come up. Maybe let them float away. If there's any that have particular charge, bring Clary Sage into your engagement with that thought and see if the thought shifts. You might notice what you feel in your body, where you feel the Clary Sage moving in your body. And feel free to just take a few minutes here and sit with your Clary Sage. And as we sit with Clary Sage, I offer for you this affirmation. You can repeat it out loud, you can repeat it inside yourself, you can hear me say it. And it is that clarity is your birthright. Clarity is your birthright. And as we take a few moments, sitting with Clary Sage, allowing it to work with us, I ask you these two questions. What is the creative project that you most yearn to bring forth? And what insights for taking the next step does Clary Sage bring you? You might want to take a few minutes now, if you can, and just journal a little bit about these two questions. What creative project do you want to bring forth, and what insights is Clary Sage bringing you for the next steps for making that happen? And you can take as much time as you want with this, but sometimes just a few moments of sitting with an oil, with yourself, might be all you need. Take the affirmation, clarity is my birthright. Use it throughout today. Use Clary Sage throughout the day when you need to sort of feel inspired and gain insights on whatever is going on. And I would love to know, what insights has Clary Sage brought you today? And what creative projects are you wanting to bring forth? Please leave a comment on the blog so I know and I can cheer you on. And I will see you tomorrow in our next daily practice series featuring Patchouli, which will be very fun. If you know someone that could use some insights and has some Clary Sage or would like to get some, please share this video with them. If you're not on our email list, please get on our email list at atlanticinstitute.com. I will be doing a live hour-long online class for free this Saturday at 2 p.m. on using essential oils for emotional healing. And I will share with you my 4-step process that I've been using a ton this past year for working through some really deep grief and confusion, and have really been able to gain some insights with sitting with my essential oils. You don't need any fancy equipment. You don't even need any specific essential oils. I would love for you to join me. So please find us on atlanticinstitute.com, and I will see you here tomorrow in our next daily practice series. Thanks, y'all. Love you.